surprised how few times you can go right on red.
Have you mastered the jug handle yet?
I don't know that I have.
Hello and welcome everybody to the first episode of the Scarlet Table. My name's Chris Carlin, and we're here to give you an inside look at everything that is going on around Rutgers University, the athletic department, and the university itself. And we are thrilled to be joined by our leadership. First of all, our new president, William Tate. Mr. President, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And our new athletic director, Keli Zinn. Keli, it's great to see you.
You as well, thank you.
We are here at Orchard Park by David Burke in East Brunswick at the Chateau Grand Hotel. This is an absolutely phenomenal restaurant. I don't know if either of you have had a chance to eat here, but we will talk to David Burke later on, and we'll get an opportunity. You can see they are not shy on the wine collection and a terrific meal, and we're excited to be a part of this and have our first episode here. And as we said, as we launch our first episode, it's a chance to give an inside look at the new and upcoming things around the Rutgers community and Rutgers athletics. So Keli, I want to start with you because you're the newest of the two, only by about a month, but you came in back in July 31st. So tell me about what the reception has been like, what your interaction with the Rutgers fan base has been like.
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredible. Certainly exceeded everything that my husband and I would have expected coming in. I'm a little over 2 months, and so we've moved beyond the information gathering stage, getting to know everyone, and now we've been rolling up our sleeves and getting after it. But just thrilled with the reaction and reception.
President Tate, how about you? You were inaugurated, so to speak, on July 1st. What has the transition here been like for you?
It's been great. The people are, as I expected, enthusiastic, tough-minded. The faculty and staff and students that I've met have been wonderful. I've been traveling around New Jersey, getting to see some of the sites and meeting with colleagues at the different campuses. It's been a great transition for me.
Now, for those who are unaware or we're just not completely clear on how you two came together, you have worked together before at LSU. So take us inside that relationship a little bit and kind of how we got to this table.
I guess Keli would defer to me to answer that one. Keli was brought to LSU while I was president to be the number 2 in athletics with Scott Woodward, who was a colleague and leading athletics. I had a chance to work with Keli directly. We had some very big projects on the capital side that Keli was responsible for, but really where I got to know her is you have to manage coaches in the job she was in. And Keli's a really tough manager in a good way. We had elite coaches with outstanding talent. And I thought she handled really the egos and the eccentric behaviors in really special ways. And so when the opportunity came here where there was a search going on in my mind, I always thought the win was going to be if I could get Keli to come here.
When you think about it and your transition and coming up here from LSU, what attracted you here?
Yeah, well, I mean, President Tate, first and foremost, and beyond what he just shared, you know, what I saw in him was obviously a president who had a mentality that I found extremely motivating and empowering, but not just for myself and the staff and coaches around us, but also the young people and athletes who lived in that sports arena. And he was heavily involved in our recruiting efforts, our retention efforts at LSU, more so than I've seen from any other president in the past. And then you layer that with the balance that he had to support the academic community and the university side of it. I was just really, really impressed with him. And so, you know, separate from his leadership and the comfort that I knew of having someone who, you know how they tick, you know what they expect, and knowing that he was going to make a commitment to this university and athletics specifically to make sure that we were successful, that was most attractive. But beyond, you know, his leadership and what I've just been so thrilled about over the past 8 weeks is, you know, everything that I've been able to see, but also maybe not yet what we're seeing, but we know we have the capability of. And that's, everybody working together, donors, coaches, staff, supporters, and student athletes as well, to be really competitive and find ourselves in a place where we excel in not just the Big Ten and the national landscape. And so I'm sure we'll, talk some about that today, but there's just so much potential and opportunity. And President Tate helped me to see that through the process, but very quickly I've recognized how it's there.
But it is a different part of the country for both of you. New Jersey is an acquired taste in some ways, as somebody who's from New Jersey my entire life. How have you found that part of it? How have you found the mentality of the Rutgers community so far?
Well, I think people want to win here. I haven't met anybody who's walking around who wants to lose. And in the end, yeah, the terrain is a little different than Louisiana. It's very pretty here, trees. You have all 4 seasons. There are aspects that are different than Louisiana, but the commonality is there are a set of people here who are really committed to the institution. They want to see it be its best version of itself. And once you have that, and people are hooked with that, then it's really about how do you plan and execute your plan. And everybody keeps saying, and I just want to get this off my chest, you were at LSU, that's so different than here at Rutgers. When I got to LSU, we were sub 500 in football. We were sub 500 in women's basketball. It wasn't like we inherited some kind of juggernaut. There was work to be done. And that's why I wanted someone like Keli, because I knew she wasn't afraid. And by the way, the expectation is there. There is a difference. Okay, now we'll be clear. 10 wins at LSU is not, nobody's smiling in your face and telling you how great you are, okay? But it's still the same in the sense that there's this desire to win. And we aren't afraid of the fact that we might have some challenges ahead of us, but we know we can build a plan out and execute it. And if people really want to win and get behind it, we will win. We will be successful, and student athletes will be successful in the classroom, and they will represent us very well. But you have to have that one ingredient.
So with that in mind, how on the community and Rutgers University level, the academic level, the education level, just tell me about your motivation as president and leading in that side of it.
Let me ask you a question. Would you ever have thought about Rutgers as the Big Ten flagship in the most diverse and the largest economy of the United States, leaning in with a business school, medical school, and law school that really is in 2 locations, medicine in Newark and in New Brunswick, law in Camden, in the Philadelphia marketplace, and in Newark, which also takes you into the New York marketplace. A business school, front-facing Newark with our New York marketplace and Philadelphia with Camden. What other entity in the Big Ten has all of that? It's jaw-dropping. You add $900 million plus of external research, outstanding students, and here's the deal. Last year's U.S. News and World Report, all 3 institutions top ranked for social mobility. In other words, they're intervening on lives and making sure people have a chance to have economic viability every day of their life. That's the most special combination you can have. And now imagine this. We're going to win in sports with that. There isn't anything better than that.
I want to get a little bit into the personal side because people are still getting to know you both. For you, your path to college athletics and to leadership in college athletics, what was it that made you want to pursue that?
Yeah, well, so I was a small town athlete, and I say athlete because where I came from, I was pretty competitive, and people would have thought I had quite a bit of talent. Unfortunately, there wasn't a whole lot of competition around. So I graduated with 83 in my high school, tried to walk on the tennis team at West Virginia University, and that was quite an eye-opening experience. I lasted less than a week, and admittedly really struggled to kind of find my footing as a young college student, and found my way to sports curriculum. had the opportunity to volunteer within the athletics department. And I think the passion and energy that I had for athletics as a young girl and as an adolescent, but not being able to have the talent level to play at the collegiate level, having that being channeled into what was I going to pursue in life after college and where I was at was certainly a piece that led me down this path. And then just got really fortunate to have people around me and above me who gave me opportunity and leaned into my growth and development to help get me to this point.
President Tate, what was your motivation to get involved in higher education?
Brainwashing. My grandmother was an educator. I think the key for me was I was very interested in science as an undergraduate. I did undergraduate research with a couple faculty members, one in economics, one actually in kinesiology. We had a great study with the Chicago White Sox on whether a straight handle bat or a curved bat had greater kick, off. And so I asked the professor, I said, how did you get this gig with the White Sox? He said, I'm a researcher. I said, if you're a researcher, you can get jobs like this? This is like a one-off because I said, they're paying you to do this plus your regular job as a teacher. He said, yeah, that's how it works. I thought, okay, now I want to be a professor. And that was great. And I think the power of the experience also, the president of the university was very hands-on, which Keli mentioned, like how I try to operate. I learned a lot from him. He was really there with us and talked to us and spent time with us. And I remember being in his office, and in my mind, I think that seed was planted. I'd love to be a university president one day. I just like the way you interact with us. Undergrads are pretty wild and say a lot of crazy things. He managed us so well, and I thought I would love to do that one day. It just played out for me that it did. I'm able to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about the experiences around Rutgers game days so far. And with football, we've seen 4 games already, including the blackout. So first of all, Keli, how impressed were you with what you saw? Give me what stood out about the Rutgers game day experience and the atmosphere.
Oh gosh, I can't say enough about that. And PJ Mullen, who's a part of our staff and leads just an incredibly talented group, really, really impressed with what they've done there. And so I think, going beyond the atmosphere and the people who came out, the student support was absolutely incredible, and how they leaned into that game. But then when you look at some of the things that you saw there with the drone shows and all the in-game elements, certainly looking back on it, I think we all internally felt like the wave to the Iowa fans and what they were able to do with their health system there. We knew that was going to be special, and it meant a lot to us to be able to do that. PJ brought that vision to life. I don't know that we recognized at the time when we were working through that it was going to bring such a national reaction like it did. We're still getting, emails and letters and thank yous from the Iowa fans for that. And so watching that all come together and go beyond the field of play and football just made it a really special night.
Along with that comes the challenges, and we all know that there's always challenges that present themselves whenever you're putting together major events like this. So what is some of the feedback that you have heard from the fan base so far?
Yeah, well, I think the feedback from them has obviously been overwhelmingly positive relative to the game experience in game. We had and certainly recognized a little bit leading up to that, but certainly that night it became very clear that we've got some issues with our traffic pattern. And so what we're doing in response to that is you're going to see during the Oregon game, which as we learned today, that too is going to be a 6:30 kick, and so should be a great robust crowd for that evening. We've got a group of experts coming in for our traffic pattern to take a look at that and likely make some changes that will benefit everybody who's coming out to our games, because certainly our expectation is if they're going to come out and support us, they need to have a great experience. I think the other area where we're working to make some improvements is also our ingress into the stadium. stadium. Certainly the fans could help us out by showing up a little bit earlier, but understanding and supporting how much they like to tailgate and the experience prior to the game. We're going to take a look at that as well to try and get people in more quickly than what we've been able to in the past.
President Tate, I saw you out at the tailgates. You had the 22 on. Tell me about that and your experience in getting a chance to interact with all the fans.
22, I'm the 22nd president, so I was gifted this great jersey. Very cool. I enjoy the interaction with the students. I like to go to the student section before every game, talk to them. I enjoy the tailgates just to say hello, because I know people are coming early, spending their time and investing in creating a festive environment. I too, like Keli, think the environment there, the boardwalk, the band, the student section is very special. I've enjoyed it, and I'm pumped for the next game.
The feedback you get a lot from the last couple of years, and PJ and his staff, is just, it feels like New Jersey, too, with the boardwalk and with all of that. Have you gotten a little taste of that through there?
Yes, I have. They from day one made it really clear that I was going to be able to spend some time there and beyond the tailgates, but spend a little time on the boardwalk and seeing how well that's received. It's about the best I've seen from being able to react to and embrace that family dynamic, but then also pair that, with an incredible atmosphere that's really electric and fans really getting after it for their team.
Well, what do we always talk about these days in college athletics? NIL. It's such a huge part of it. But from the inside, we only see from the outside what that means, what it is, and people just equate that immediately to dollar signs and all of that. The importance of NIL right now, Keli, in to the success of the athletic department and addressing needs, because over the years, there were always facilities need improvement. This needs improvement. That needs improvement. The shifting of it, take us inside that from the athletic director's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, it's the number one priority and has been since day one. I knew coming in that we had some work to do in that space and very quickly was able to see just how much work needed to be done. And so we've made a lot of progress in the past 8 weeks from bringing online an in-house and agency that's going to work with corporate sponsorships and brands to bring those opportunities to our student athletes. But beyond that, it's assembling a team of people who are going to support it externally, and that's essentially what you referenced there with the dollars and cents, but also a team internally that works directly with our student athletes to educate them, to bring awareness to brand strategy and what that means, and making sure that individual athletes who benefit from those opportunities are also able to elevate their program as a whole, but also the athletics department and university. And so there's a ton of value to be gained in that venture. I feel really good about where we are. And I think over the course of the next, 6 to 8 months, you're going to see some significant impact in that space.
So homecoming weekend is going to provide an awful lot of opportunities for people to get involved, but not just get involved in terms of NIL, but experience an awful lot around the community.
Yeah, absolutely. And the timing of homecoming could not have set up better for us as we move boldly into the world of NIL. We've got a total of 7 programs competing that week and weekend. And you're going to see us take a very aggressive approach with all of them in order to show the world, and particularly those we're competing against, that Rutgers is heavily involved in the name, image, and likeness space. Those student athletes are going to celebrate it. The hope is that the fans and those coming out to support them do so as well. And that's going to be a really, really exciting week for our future.
I'm curious your perspective on NIL from the president's office and how it has changed college athletics and how you see this all working together with Keli.
Well, there's an alignment question for every president with their AD. When we go and talk to people about supporting the institution, there are many things you can ask for assistance with. Clearly, one of them for us is that we would like to see our athletic program be as robust as it possibly can be with a combination of an outstanding academic research platform. So it's important for the president and the AD to be on the same page with respect to requests to potential corporations as well as individual donors. NIL right now for us is a lot of the businesses and corporations. So we've got to be able to say there's going to be a return on your investment. I don't know how you wouldn't think there wouldn't be. This is the largest media market in the Big Ten. It's the largest media market in Power Four. And so if you're winning and you're an athlete that's winning and you're a corporation that supports that athlete, you're winning. And so our storyline is pretty clear. The numbers undergirding this, the denominator, are very strong. And I think from my perspective, I saw what it meant to have athletes who did NIL, and then they were a brand for our institution at LSU, and it helped our enrollment management in significant ways. It's just all marketing and winning for everyone. And so I'm all in with this. I understand it, and I understand how the residuals come back to help the academic and research enterprise as well.
We spoke a little bit about NIL, but there's also the R Fund arm of this with athletic excellence. So tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
Yeah, so really exciting opportunity with the timing of where we're at. Going back to July 1, as many who know who follow college athletics, that was the day that revenue sharing directly with student athletes became a reality. And so any athletics program seeking to compete at the highest level in today's landscape is expected to share revenue directly with their athletes. But in addition to that, they also released the athletic scholarship limitations that have existed forever. And so any school who desires to do so and has the funding to support it, they can fully scholarship every athlete on their rosters if they choose to do so. And so you take those two components and, to your point, add NIL into it, there's a significant amount of resources that are being directed specifically to our rosters. This pathway is an opportunity to support that piece, to give to our programs and to our athletics department in a way where we have the capability via revenue sharing and those scholarship opportunities to really change the trajectory of our programs, and to do so quickly in the world of retention and transfer portals and all those other things. We can do that now because there aren't any limitations that exist. The only ones are those that live in our finances, of which obviously we are seeking to improve significantly.
So you've said the word win, I think probably about 15 times already.
I plan that.
And you've said that since you have been here, and it's a word that obviously everybody wants to hear. But when you talk about that, we know what it looks like on the athletic fields. I'm wondering what it looks like for you from the rest of the university, from research grants and such.
So we have over $900 million of research grants at Rutgers. And when you say the number, it just goes over people's head because nobody imagines $900 million. Well, what's in that? In that $900 million is a research lab at the Cancer Institute. And if you have anybody who's ever had cancer, you know how devastating it can be. Imagine in that $900 million is someone studying throat cancer. You get a diagnosis that death is imminent. You come to Rutgers Cancer Institute, they work with you, they biopsy you, they do all the things that normally happen. They create some personalized medicine intervention, apply it to you, and all of a sudden you're cancer-free. That was my first week at Rutgers. Literally a video of a woman telling me, "Thank you, President Tate, for Rutgers Cancer. I am alive, I'm here with my nieces and nephews." That was exploratory research funded by the federal government to make that happen. Imagine, you like cranberries?
Sure.
They tell me cranberries is a big deal here. You don't have cranberries coming out of New Jersey if it isn't for the agriculture-related research and the genetic research that happens. That industry doesn't exist. So when I see those numbers, I think about the people that are impacted. It's very powerful here. We have drug manufacturing right here in our engineering programs. They can get a drug to market in 6 weeks. Corporation takes you 8 months. We have the whole supply chain from protein-related research, clinical research, engineering research and supply research in our business school that can distribute this. It's stunning, really, when you think about it. I think people don't really understand the power of the flagship in this context. Now, my job is to help you understand that winning is happening all the time. You know, whatever happens on the football field, yeah, I want to win that game. But this winning that I'm talking to you about on research and clinical evidence, millions of people served by our healthcare provider, that winning is happening every day. It's an everyday occurrence. So when I say win, everybody always thinks he's just talking about football or baseball. I'm talking about everything. Winning and beating that cancer means something. And so I just don't bring I bring a mindset about what does it mean to win? You have to have a plan. You have to have a strategy. You have to have tactics. You have to have measurement on whether you're doing it or not. Then you have to come back and change and pivot so you can win the second half, whether it's in research or a football game. And that's just how I think about it. And I'm proud to be here at Rutgers. I think the faculty, staff, all across the board have done an outstanding job here.
Okay, now I want to ask you something both, just a little personal and fun, just to get an idea. Again, I'm here my entire life. The Rutgers community is all about New Jersey. You're both kind of new to it. So, New Jersey, what has surprised you the most about it versus what you maybe expected? And what have you enjoyed the most about it since you got here a few months ago? Who wants to go first?
Surprise how few times you can go right on red.
Have you mastered the jug handle yet?
I don't know that I have.
Yeah.
No.
None of us have.
Seriously, and, you know, President Tate mentioned it earlier, you know, certainly from afar, when you look at where we've been, and I'm speaking specifically from the athletics lens, and our history in the competitive space, I think there's a small piece of you coming in that says, do they want to win? Are they really invested in this? Are they passionate about it? Because otherwise, how does it not look a little better? And so certainly I felt good enough to make this move and be here. I wouldn't have made that decision if I wasn't all in and felt confident in it. But now being here and having the opportunity to spend time with people who have been a part of our history and visit with the 30 or 40 year season ticket holder, but not just those long-time supporters, and instead those who are starting to really get involved in Rutgers athletics, you recognize there is a significant level of passion in this fan base. And there are a lot of people who really want to see it at the highest level. Our numbers may not be where they should be and will be in the future, and I'm confident in that. But being able to see that and feel that really quickly, that was certainly a really, really big piece of the momentum that I feel every single day.
How about you, President Tate? Something that you've enjoyed about being in New Jersey, something that might have caught you by surprise?
I'll start with caught you by surprise. I'll be honest, I was surprised that 8,000 people showed up to watch Rutgers volleyball.
That was awesome. That was
let,
awesome.
let me be clear about something. If we can normalize that, if we can normalize people saying, I'm going to come out there and support, we're going to create the fan experience that you would want to do that, and we normalize it. We used to call that the smoke tour at LSU with women's basketball, because we sold out all those games, right? In women's basketball, people would say, it's packed, can't get a ticket. If you normalize that kind of winning, especially in a sport like volleyball or women's basketball, if you normalize not the winning, by that I mean the fans coming out to support it, you will eventually win, because student athletes will come and visit you and say, that's amazing. So that was a shocker for me. I didn't think that would happen. And I also would say the thing that surprised me, New Jersey is aesthetically beautiful. There's so much rhetoric about New Jersey, and it's sort of like...
It's not just what exit.
That, you know, I'm walking around and I'm looking at things and I'm saying, this is just stunningly beautiful. And so I know why people have such pride about it and they love it, because you can see just the natural resources here and just how it's all organized, and very, very, just a beautiful place.
And we have come to the main event here at Orchard Park by David Burke, the chef and restaurateur himself, has joined us. David, it's great to have you here. We appreciate you coming by.
Nice to have you.
All right, so what do we have here? It's outstanding to begin with. Let's just start there.
These are lobster dumplings. This is like a ravioli or a steamed dumpling. It's got lobster inside and shrimp and tomato miso sauce. And then we have a porterhouse, which is dry aged in a refrigerator with salt, like the wall behind us. So we have a patent on that process. So we take our meat seriously. And that's a porterhouse has both the filet mignon and the sirloin. We have our own steak sauce on that. And if you want a Scarlet Knight steak, we're going to have the combination of the lobster on the steak.
New to the menu.
New to the menu.
Love it.
And
The Scarlet steak.
So that'll come on, or it'll be a lobster tail. But either way, that'll be on our menu, continue throughout the season. You have some side dish here, which is potatoes and onions. And you have the famous cake pops, cotton candy, and a whipped cream made with bubble gum.
Wow.
And it's fun. So that's...
Well, this is outstanding, and we are going to dive in here. David, we cannot thank you enough for having us.
My pleasure.
And we cannot thank you enough for joining us for our first episode of The Scarlet Table. Be sure to be paying attention for our next one in a little while from now. But it's been a terrific time here at Orchard Park by David Burke. Make sure that you subscribe to Rutgers Athletics on our YouTube channel. In the meantime, I think it is time for us to dine. So we have it. Thanks so much again for joining us.